May I start, sir? Thank you, sir. I'll request all of you to please rise for national anthem. We'll start today's proceeding with recitation from Holy Quran. I'll request Qari Mohsin to please recite a few verses from Holy Quran. Qari Mohsin Saab.
الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل يا تعالوا إلى كلمة سواء بيننا وبينكم ألا نعبد إلا الله ولا نشرك به شيئا ولا يتخذ بعضنا بعضا أربابا من دون الله فإن تولوا فقولوا اشهدوا بأننا مسلمون يا أهل الكتاب لم تحاجون في إبراهيم وما أنزلت التوراة والإنجيل والإنجيل إلا من بعد أفلا تعقلون صدق الله العظيم. इन आयत का तर्जुमा समाअत फरमाएं. अल्लाह के नाम से शुरू जो बड़ा मेहरबान निहायत रहम फरमाने वाला है. इरशाद बारी ताला है, कह दो कि ए अहले किताब, जो बात हमारे और तुम्हारे दोनों के दरमियान यकसा तस्लीम की गई है उसकी तरफ आओ. वो ये कि अल्लाह के सिवा हम किसी की इबादत न करें और उसके साथ किसी चीज़ को शरीक न करें और हम में कोई किसी को अल्लाह के सिवा अपना कारसाज न समझे. अगर ये लोग इस बात को ना माने तो इनसे कह दो कि तुम गवाह रहो कि हम अल्लाह के फर्माबरदार हैं. ए अहले किताब, तुम इब्राहीम अलैहिस्सलाम के बारे में क्यों झगड़ते हो, हालांकि तौरात और इंजील इनके बाद उतरी है और वो पहले हो चुके हैं. तो क्या तुम अकल नहीं रखते? व आखिर दावाना अल्हम्दुलिल्लाहि रब्बिल आलमीन.
Honorable Chief Justice of Pakistan, Honorable Justices of Supreme Court and High Courts, Excellencies from diplomatic missions, distinguished speakers, respected audience, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and a very good afternoon. I'm privileged to be part of this historic event organized jointly by the Law and Justice Commission of Pakistan and the Federal Judicial Academy. It's historic not just for being the first of its kind under the auspices of the Supreme Court of Pakistan, but also for its expected outcomes. Ladies and gentlemen, ever since the assumption of office by the Honorable Chief Justice of Pakistan, he has been striving to strengthen the judiciary to enable it meet the challenges being faced by it. This symposium is yet another step in that direction to engage with stakeholders and to bring about conformity between the constitutional imperative of fundamental rights on the one hand and judicial practice on the other, to align it with the public aspirations. I request the Honorable Chief Justice of Pakistan, Mr. Justice Yahya Afridi, to say welcome to the distinguished guests and share his inaugural remarks with us. This welcome address will be followed by the Arabic translation of the address by Mr. Ehtisham. Ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Chief Justice of Pakistan, Mr. Justice Yahya Afridi.
Auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Excellency Dr. Muhammad Al Isa, Secretary General of the Muslim World League, Honorable Mr. Justice Tasadduq Hussain Jalani, former Chief Justice of Pakistan, Honorable Judges of the Supreme Court, Honorable Chief Justices and Judges of the High Courts, esteemed speakers, members of the diplomatic corps, development partners, members of the district judiciary and the bar, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, assalamu alaikum. It is indeed a profound honor to welcome you all to this National Symposium on Interfaith Harmony and Fundamental Rights, a constitutional imperative. In times with differences of opinion too often defines us. In such situation, it is both a privilege and also a source of hope for us all to gather under one roof united by our shared commitment to understanding, mutual respect, and justice for all. As far as this symposium is concerned, it has great and special meaning for me personally, as before me sit two of my teachers, Honorable Mr. Justice Tasadduq Jalani and His Excellency Dr. Muhammad Al-Isa. Now, Dr. Isa is not only the Secretary General of Muslim World League, he has been the head of the Saudi judiciary. But more important, and a feature which makes him stand out, is that he delivered the sermon at Arafat during the Hajj of 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, we have amongst us Dr. Isa, and it's going to be a privilege and an honor to hear his views on interfaith harmony and how it is to be carried through in such pressing times that we face today. In presence of such towering scholars, I have but little to add, and I'm deeply grateful for their gracious acceptance to address this distinguished gatherings. Ladies and gentlemen, the message of Islam has, from its beginning, been one of peace, compassion, and respect for all humanity. The theme we deliberate upon today is therefore not unfamiliar to us. It lives within our religion and finds affirmation in our constitution. Ladies and gentlemen, this symposium is being live streamed across Pakistan, and may the perspectives shared today guide us all in interpreting and upholding the principles enshrined in our constitution. The promise of equality, dignity, and justice for all, irrespective of class, creed, or faith. I have also requested the Federal Judicial Academy to integrate the ideas and reflections emerging from this symposium into its training programs for judges, lawyers, prosecutors, and all justice sector stakeholders. The purpose of such dialogue is not merely understanding, but transformation, ensuring that the principle we discuss today find expression in our judicial practice. I extend my sincere gratitude to the distinguished speakers, Ms. Rabia Javeri Agha, Mr. Azam Nazir Tarar, and Senator Farooq H. Naik for enriching this dialogue. My thanks also go to the Law and Justice Commission of Pakistan and the Federal Judicial Academy for their corroboration efforts in organizing this event. My gratitude is equally due to all honorable guests, representatives of the diplomatic corps, development partners, members of the judiciary and the bar for joining us in reaffirming Pakistan's constitutional promise for justice for all. May this dialogue today bring us closer to a society where rights are not only declared but realized, where justice is not delayed but delivered, and where law serves as a common language of peace and equality. Thank you. Pakistan Zindabad.
صاحب المعالي الشيخ الدكتور محمد بن عبد الكريم العيسى الأمين العام لرابطة العالم الإسلامي ورئيس هيئة علماء المسلمين والحضور الكرام، إنه لشرف كبير لي أن أرحب بكم جميعا في هذه الندوة الوطنية تحت عنوان الوئام بين الأديان والحقوق الأساسية ضرورة دستورية، في زمن أصبحت فيه الاختلافات كثيرا ما تعرفنا وتقسمنا، فإن اجتماعنا اليوم تحت سقف واحد متحدين في التزامنا المشترك بالفهم والاحترام والعدالة للجميع يعد مصدرا للأمل. وتحمل هذه الندوة بالنسبة لي معان خاصة، إذ يجلس معي أستاذاي الجليلان معالي الدكتور محمد بن عبد الكريم العيسى والقاضي رئيس القضاة السابق تصدق حسين جيلاني. وأنتم معالي الدكتور ليس فقط الأمين العام لرابطة العالم الإسلامي، بل ترأستم السلطة القضائية في المملكة العربية السعودية، كما شرفكم الله بتوفيق إلقاء الخطبة في الحج. إن رسالة الإسلام منذ بدايتها كانت ولا تزال رسالة سلام ورحمة واحترام للإنسانية جمعاء، والموضوع الذي نناقشه اليوم ليس غريبا عنا، فهو متجذر في ديننا الحنيف ومؤكد في دستورنا. وتبث هذه الندوة مباشرة إلى جميع أنحاء باكستان، وأرجو أن تسهم الرؤى والأفكار المطروحة اليوم في توجيهنا جميعا نحو التمسك بمبادئ الدستور بما يضمن المساواة والكرامة والعدالة للجميع دون تمييز في الطبقة أو اللون أو العقيدة. كما أتوجه بجزيل الشكر للمتحدثين المتميزين على إسهامهم القيم في إثراء هذا الحوار، ولا يفوتني أن أشكر لجنة القانون والعدالة الباكستانية والأكاديمية القضائية الفيدرالية على جهودهم المشتركة في تنظيم هذا الحدث. وشكري موصول لجميع الضيوف الكرام وممثلي السلك الدبلوماسي وشركاء التنمية وأعضاء السلك القضائي ونقابة المحامين على حضورهم ومشاركتهم في تجديد الوعد الدستوري لباكستان بتحقيق العدالة للجميع. نسأل الله تعالى أن يقربنا هذا الحوار اليوم من مجتمع تعلن فيه الحقوق وتطبق وتحقق فيه العدالة دون تأخير، ويكون فيه القانون لغة مشتركة للسلام والمساواة. شكرا جزيلا لكم. باكستان زندباد.
Distinguished audience, to begin with, we have with us His Excellency Dr. Muhammad bin Abdul Karim Al Isa, a scholar of international repute with an academic background of constitutional law and comparative judicial studies. He started as a university teacher, but then served as the chief appellate judge in Saudi Ministry of Justice for 27 years, and subsequently remained vice president of the Court of Grievances. He also held the portfolio of Minister of Justice and advisor to the Royal Court. Apart from honorary doctorates, he is the recipient of prestigious international awards, including Malaysian Highest Civil Award, Detossery, and Norwegian Bridge Builder Award. As Secretary General of Muslim World League since 2016, he has been presenting Islam as a faith meant to promote reason, understanding, and peace. I request His Excellency Dr. Muhammad bin Abdul Karim Al Isa to share his scholarly views with the forum. Again, his discourse will be translated in Urdu by Mr. Ehtisham. Ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency Muhammad bin Abdul Karim Al Isa.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، والحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا الهادي الأمين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. صاحب المعالي رئيس المحكمة العليا بجمهورية باكستان الإسلامية السيد يحيى أفريدي، أعضاء المحكمة الموقرون، أصحاب الفضيلة والمعالي، السادة الحضور، السيدات والسادة، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أما بعد، فيسعدني أن ألقي هذه الكلمة في سياق معالم مهمة لا بد من تسليط الضوء عليها في هذه القلعة، قلعة العدالة التي تميزت بسمعتها العالمية، شاكرا لكافة المنظمين هذا التنظيم وهذه الحفاوة في سياق موضوع هذا اللقاء. وسأتحدث في سياق اهتمامنا في رابطة العالم الإسلامي، وأيضا في سياق خبرتنا واهتمامنا أيضا بالحقوق والواجبات. فأقول وبادئ ذي بدء في شأن يتعلق بقضية مهمة في عالمنا، وهي الوئام. وسأبدأ بالوئام بين أتباع الأديان والثقافات، باعتباره أحد أهم مرتكزات الوعي الإنساني بشكل عام. وعلى وجه التفصيل يعد أحد أهم مرتكزات الأمن والسلم في مجتمعات التنوع الديني والإثني والثقافي بخاصة، والمجتمع الدولي بعامة. كما يعد هذا الوعي أحد مرتكزات ومعززات الصداقة والتعاون بين الأمم والشعوب في مواجهة النظريات التي تؤكد على حتمية الصدام والصراع بين الحضارات، وهي كما تعلمون التي أشعلتها مؤخرا، أقول مؤخرا، بعض الكتابات، ومنها كتاب الأكاديمي صموئيل هانتنغتون عبر كتابه صدام الحضارات، والذي طبعت منه عشرات الطبعات وبعدة لغات. وحقيقة هذه النظرية المتشائمة والخاطئة تماما تقول بأن الله تعالى خلقنا مختلفين من أجل أن نتصارع للأبد، وأن البقاء إنما هو للأقوى، ومتى ضعف هذا الأقوى غلبه الأقوى منه في جولة أخرى، وهكذا. وهي نظرية تؤمن بأنه لا سلام حقيقيا يمكن أن يتحقق بين الأمم والشعوب، وأنه في حال حصوله فهو يمثل ضرورة لهم في مرحلة معينة، ولكنه لا يمثل أبدا القناعة بأن السلام بين الحضارات مستداما، أو بأن السلام بين الحضارات مستدام. وهذه النظرية لا تؤمن على أرض الواقع بأي اتفاق أممي، ومن ذلك ميثاق الأمم المتحدة الصادر في 26 من يونيو لعام 1945، والذي جاء في ديباجته، جاء في مطلع ديباجته أن شعوب الأمم المتحدة آلت على أنفسها أن تنقذ الأجيال القادمة من ويلات الحروب التي خلال جيل واحد جلبت على الإنسانية مرتين أحزانا يعجز عنها الوصف. وبعد عدة عقود، وتحديدا في عام 2005، أنشئت منظمة تحالف الحضارات تحت مظلة الأمم المتحدة. ومع أن تلك الحروب التي وصفتها شعوب الأمم المتحدة بأنه يعجز عنها الوصف كانت سياسية، إلا أنها كانت في توصيفها العام ذات تماس مع الجوانب العرقية والدينية والإثنية، وهذا له امتداد تاريخي قديم. فمثلا الحروب الصليبية كانت لأسباب دينية، وحرب 30 عاما في أوروبا كانت لأسباب دينية بين البروتستانت والكاثوليك، ثم تحولت إلى حرب سياسية. وكذلك الحرب العالمية الأولى كانت أحد أسبابها هي القومية المتطرفة، حيث وجدت حركات قومية في البلقان، مثلا بين الصرب ضد النمسا المجر في ذلك الوقت، وهي التي غذت التوترات بعد الشرارة الأولى المباشرة المتعلقة باغتيال ولي عهد النمسا المجر في ذلك الوقت. كما أن الدين ظهر في هذه الحرب بشكل غير مباشر عبر الخطاب القومي المسيحي الكاثوليك والبروتستانت مقابل الأرثوذكس في البلقان. وكذلك نجد أن النزاعات العرقية في البلقان، الصرب والكروات والبوسنيين، كانت مشتعلة، حيث سعت القوميات إلى الاستقلال من الإمبراطورية النمساوية المجرية. أما الحرب العالمية الثانية فمن أسبابها صعود النازية والفاشية كما تعلمون، هتلر في ألمانيا وموسوليني في إيطاليا، وقد استخدموا القومية المتطرفة للاستقطاب وفرض التوسع. كما استخدم النازيون لغة دينية مشوهة من خلال تصوير هتلر كمنقذ أو مخلص قومي. لكن المسيحية الرسمية فضلت الحياد، فالبابا في الفاتيكان في ذلك الوقت تبنى سياسة عدم الانحياز المباشر بهدف الحفاظ على قدرة الكنيسة على لعب دور إنساني ودبلوماسي. هذا إضافة لموقف الفاتيكان من الخطر الشيوعي على المسيحية، وهذا في قراءة بعض المؤرخين. في قراءة بعض المؤرخين يعتبر هذا مؤثرا على موقفه في التوازن بين إدانة النازية أو الخوف من توسع الاتحاد السوفيتي. لكن للفاتيكان موقف أخلاقي في إيواء الفارين من الاضطهاد النازي، وذلك عبر عدد من الشبكات الكنسية، كما شارك في مفاوضات إنسانية خلف الكواليس. أما موقف المسيحية البروتستانتية فكان الانقسام، نعم كان الانقسام الداخلي فيما بينها بحسب الدول والتيارات. ففي ألمانيا أيدت بعض الكنائس السياسية السياسة النازية، نعم السياسية، الكنائس السياسية أيدت السياسة النازية بشكل مباشر أو غير مباشر. وفي المقابل ظهرت ما يسمى بالكنيسة المعترفة، والتي عارضت تدخل الدولة في الدين، ومن ثم واجهت النازية مثل كارل بارث ديتريتش بونهوفر الذي أعدم بسبب مقاومته. أما في بريطانيا والولايات المتحدة الأمريكية فمعظم الكنائس البروتستانتية أيدت حكوماتها ورأت أن الحرب معركة ضد الشر والطغيان. أما بالنسبة للعرق فقد ارتكزت النازية على أيديولوجية تفوق العرق الآري كما تعلمون. ونستطيع القول بأنه في الحرب العالمية الأولى لعبت القومية والعرق والثقافة العسكرية دورا كبيرا، وكان للدين دور لكنه جاء في المرتبة الثانية. بينما في الحرب العالمية الثانية كان العرق والأيديولوجيا العنصرية في صلب الصراع، ولا سيما الأيديولوجيا العنصرية النازية، على حين استخدم الدين كآلة دعائية مباشرة وليس كعامل رئيس. وباستطلاع أحداث التاريخ الإنساني نجد أن الدين كان حاضرا في أغلب الحروب، سواء أكانت أفكار القادة الدينيين هي السبب المباشر في إشعال الحروب الظالمة، أو لهم تواطؤ مع الحروب السياسية من أجل دعمها أيا كانت أسباب الدعم. ولهذا تجد كلا طرفي الحرب يعدون المقاتلين بأنهم سيكونون شهداء، وقد يكون دينهما معا واحدا. وعندما نقول الحروب الظالمة نستثني حروب الدفاع التي تستهدف مواجهة كافة أشكال الاعتداء، ومن ذلك ممارسات الظلم والاضطهاد والاستعمار، فهذه حروب مشروعة لأنها ضد الظالم، ضد المعتدي، ضد المستعمر. ولهذا نجد أن القرآن الكريم نبه على هذا الأمر في آيات كثيرة. قال الله تعالى: وقاتلوا المشركين كافة كما يقاتلونكم كافة. وقال سبحانه: وقاتلوا في سبيل الله الذين يقاتلونكم ولا تعتدوا إن الله لا يحب المعتدين. وقال تعالى: أذن للذين يقاتلون بأنهم ظلموا وإن الله على نصرهم لقدير. والمعنى أن الله أذن للمؤمنين الذين تعرضوا للاعتداء عليهم بالقتال، اعتدي عليهم بالقتال، أن يقاتلوا عدوهم دفاعا عن أنفسهم. وهذا كله يفيد أن الأصل في الإسلام هو عدم القتال. نعم، الأصل في الإسلام هو عدم القتال. ولهذا قال الله تعالى قبل الاعتداء المشار إليه، قال: ألم تر إلى الذين قيل لهم كفوا أيديكم وأقيموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة. والمعنى لا تقاتلوا أحدا لمجرد الخلاف أو الاعتداء العابر. وقال جل وعلا في سياق التوتر مع العدو: وإن جنحوا للسلم فاجنح لها. والمعنى إن بدت منهم بوادر للمسالمة فسالمهم. ولهذا لما طلب المشركون في عام الحديبية الصلح ووضع الحرب بينهم وبين سيدنا ونبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم 9 سنين، أجابهم لذلك. وجاء في الحديث الصحيح عن علي بن أبي طالب رضي الله عنه أنه قال لي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: إنه سيكون بعد اختلاف أو أمر، فإن استطعت أن تكون السلم فافعل. والمعنى إن استطعت أن تكون مبادرا بالسلم فافعل. كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام: لا تتمنوا لقاء العدو واسألوا الله العافية. وهذا نهي عن التشوف للحرب، لذات الحرب، وهو ما يسمى بالتعطش للدماء. ومفردة السلام متعددة الاستعمال في الإسلام في القضايا الكبرى، فالسلام من أسماء الله جل وعلا، وجنته سبحانه التي وعد بها المؤمنين هي دار السلام. وتحية المسلمين فيما بينهم ومع غيرهم هي السلام. وتختتم الصلاة التي هي الركن الثاني في الإسلام بالسلام. ويكون الإعراض عن الجدل العقيم وعن الاستفزازات الدينية وغيرها بكلمة السلام. وتلك القيم الإسلامية تنطلق من الرحمة المتأصلة في الإسلام، حيث قال الله تعالى عن نبيه الكريم صلى الله عليه وسلم: وما أرسلناك إلا رحمة للعالمين. ومن هذه الرحمة جاءت كافة معاني الخير، حتى قال صلى الله عليه وسلم: أحب الناس إلى الله أنفعهم للناس. وكما اهتم الإسلام بالسلام العلاجي مثل إيقاف الحروب، فقد اهتم كذلك بالسلام الوقائي، فحذر من الظلم والفتن والعنف. نعم، حذر من العنف ودعا للحكمة والسماحة وإصلاح ذات البين التي تعد في طليعة الأسباب الوقائية من نشوب النزاعات والحروب. قال صلى الله عليه وسلم لأصحابه: ألا أخبركم بأفضل من درجة الصيام والصلاة والصدقة؟ قالوا: بلى. قال: إصلاح ذات البين، فإن فساد ذات البين هي الحالقة. كما نبه الإسلام على خطورة الظنون السيئة والإساءة للآخرين بالقول أو بالفعل، حتى لو اختلفنا معهم في أشد أنواع الاختلاف، حتى قال الله تعالى: ولا تسبوا الذين يدعون من دون الله فيسبوا الله عدوا بغير علم. ومن هذا المنطلق حذر الإسلام من سوء الظن، وأمر بالتبين والتثبت وعدم العجلة، كما حذر من كافة مسالك الشر، وهي التي تفضي في كثير من أحوالها إلى الشحناء والبغضاء، بل وإلى الحروب، سواء كانت نشطة أو كانت كامنة تنتظر لحظة الاندلاع. ومن الإجراءات الوقائية في هذا أيضا تحذير الإسلام من إثارة الفتن والعصبية العرقية وكافة شعارات وممارسات الكراهية. وكما أكد الإسلام على فضيلة التسامح، أكد من جانب آخر على ما هو أهم، وهو الإحسان إلى الجميع سواء أكانوا مؤمنين أو غير مؤمنين. قال الله تعالى: لا ينهاكم الله عن الذين لم يقاتلوكم في الدين ولم يخرجوكم من دياركم أن تبروهم وتقسطوا إليهم إن الله يحب المقسطين. واستعملت الآية الكريمة هنا كلمة البر التي هي في غالب السياق الإسلامي تأتي مع صلة الوالدين، وهذا في غاية الكرم مع الجميع، في غاية الكرم مع الجميع، بل بلغ التسامح حتى مع الأساليب الاستفزازية من قبل الأعداء، والتي بلغت ذروتها في العهد النبوي الكريم. نعم، بلغت ذروتها في عهد النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. وفي هذا قال الله تعالى لسيدنا ونبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم: فاعف عنهم واصفح، فاعف عنهم واصفح، إن الله يحب المحسنين. وقال تعالى: خذ العفو وأمر بالعرف وأعرض عن الجاهلين. ومن قيم الإسلام حفظ كافة الحقوق، وخاصة حقوق الأقليات، وهو حق دستوري في الإسلام، على أساس أن دستور الإسلام هو الكتاب والسنة، فهذه محفوظة في الكتاب والسنة. وقد مثل ذلك خير مثال وثيقة المدينة المنورة التي أمضاها سيدنا ونبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم مع التنوع الديني في المدينة المنورة في ذلك الوقت. لقد اعتبرت هذه الوثيقة أول وثيقة دستورية في التاريخ الإسلامي لحفظ حقوق الأقليات، وأول وثيقة دستورية في الإخاء الإنساني، كما اعتبرت أول وثيقة دستورية في المواطنة الشاملة التي تتضمن حقوق وواجبات المواطنة الكاملة. وقد نصت الوثيقة على أن المسلمين وغيرهم في المواطنة واحدة، ولهذا نصت الوثيقة على أن للمسلمين دينهم وأن لغيرهم دينهم، كل ذلك في إطار سياسي واجتماعي موحد بالرغم من اختلاف الدين. ومنحت الوثيقة لغير المسلمين الحق في ممارسة شعائرهم الدينية بحرية، وهو ما يؤكد حرية الاعتقاد والتعايش وفق إطاره المشروع في الإسلام. كما تضمنت الوثيقة ما يشير إلى تضامن المجتمع الواحد في رد العدوان والدفاع عن المدينة، وعلى أن دماء أهلها متساوية، فلا يظلم أحد بسبب دينه أو قبيلته. ويمكن القول باختصار بأن الوثيقة تضمنت المعنى الكامل للمواطنة الشاملة من خلال مبدأ المشاركة في الحقوق والواجبات والمساواة أمام القانون والاعتراف بالتنوع الديني والاجتماعي وفق إطاره المشروع. والعهدة العمرية لأهل القدس تشبه إلى حد كبير مضامين وثيقة المدينة المنورة، حيث أعطاهم عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنه كتابا يتضمن أمانا لأنفسهم وكنائسهم وصلبانهم، بحيث لا تسكن كنائسهم ولا تهدم ولا ينقص منها ولا من حيزها ولا من صليبهم ولا من شيء من أموالهم، ولا يكرهون على حساب دينهم ولا يضار أحد منهم. ومن الحقوق الأساسية للأقليات مراعاة الخصوصية الدينية والطائفية في القضايا الملية، وفي طليعتها ما يتعلق بأحكام الأسرة من زواج وطلاق ونحو ذلك. لا شك أن ترسيخ هذه الحقوق يعد من أهم ركائز الأمن والاستقرار المجتمعي، وبخاصة تعزيز الولاء تحت مظلة واحدة وعدالة كاملة بمواطنة شاملة. وتعتبر باكستان من النماذج الدولية الرائدة في حفظ تلك الحقوق. ونشيد في هذا بدور المحكمة العليا حارسة الدستور الباكستاني الذي ضمن حقوق الجميع، بل لا تزال المحكمة العليا الباكستانية نموذجا عالميا في الكفاءة والنزاهة والملاذ الآمن، والجميع يشهد بذلك. لا أحب أن أطيل عليكم، فهذه كلمات تشير إلى كثير من الموضوعات، وأعبر عن اعتزازي وشرفي بهذا اللقاء، مقدرا للمنظمين ولا سيما لمعالي أخي العزيز رئيس المحكمة العليا هذا اللقاء، وأشيد بأهمية هذا اللقاء من خلال الحضور النوعي لأولئك القضاة وأيضا المتداخلين. شكرا للجميع، وأعبر من أعماقي على أني سعيد غاية السعادة بهذا اللقاء. وأحب أيضا أن أشير إلى أن هذا اللقاء في موضوعه مهم للغاية في سياق عالمنا المنقسم بسبب نزاعات عديدة لا تخفاكم. I'm very happy for this meeting. Thank you so much.
رابطہ عالم اسلامی کے جنرل سیکریٹری کے خطاب کا خلاصہ. عزت مآب چیف جسٹس یحییٰ آفریدی صاحب اور حاضرین کرام، میرے لیے انتہائی خوشی کا مقام ہے کہ میں اپنے بھائیوں کے درمیان انصاف اور عدل کے قلعے سپریم کورٹ آف پاکستان میں موجود ہوں. ڈاکٹر شیخ محمد عبدالکریم العیسیٰ نے اپنے خطاب میں کہا کہ مختلف مذاہب، ثقافتوں اور قوموں کے درمیان ہم آہنگی انسانی شعور کی بنیاد اور پائیدار عالمی امن کی کلید ہے. انہوں نے وضاحت کی کہ یہ ہم آہنگی ان نظریات کی تردید کرتی ہے جو تہذیبوں کے تصادم کو ناگزیر قرار دیتے ہیں، جیسے سیموئل ہنٹنگٹن کا نظریہ ہے کلیش آف سویلائزیشن، جو انسانوں کے درمیان مستقل کشمکش کو فطری تصور کرتا ہے. انہوں نے کہا کہ یہ مایوس کن نظریہ اس حقیقت کو نظر انداز کرتا ہے کہ خالق کائنات نے انسانوں کو مختلف اقوام اور نسلوں میں اس لیے پیدا کیا تاکہ وہ ایک دوسرے کے ساتھ تعاون اور خیرخواہی سے رہیں، نہ کہ جنگ و جدال میں مبتلا ہو. یہی جذبہ اقوام متحدہ کے منشور میں بھی جھلکتا ہے، جس کا مقصد نسل انسانی کو جنگ کی ہلاکتوں سے محفوظ رکھنا ہے. بعد ازاں اقوام متحدہ نے 2005 میں الائنس آف سویلائزیشن کے نام سے ادارہ قائم کیا تاکہ مختلف اقوام کے درمیان مکالمے اور باہمی احترام کو فروغ دیا جا سکے. ڈاکٹر العیسیٰ نے تاریخی مثالوں کے ذریعے واضح کیا کہ اگرچہ پہلی اور دوسری جنگ عظیم بنیادی طور پر سیاسی تھی، مگر ان میں مذہبی اور نسلی عوامل بھی شامل تھے. صلیبی جنگیں مذہب کے نام پہ لڑی گئی. 30 سالہ یورپی جنگ مذہبی اختلافات سے شروع ہو کر سیاسی تصادم میں بدل گئی، جبکہ پہلی جنگ عظیم شدت پسند قوم پرستی سے ابھری. دوسری جنگ عظیم میں نازیزم اور فاشزم نے نسل پرستی اور مذہب کے بگاڑے ہوئے تصورات کو اپنے سیاسی عزائم کے لیے استعمال کیا. انہوں نے کہا کہ تاریخ میں مذہب کو اکثر سیاسی مفادات کے لیے استعمال کیا گیا ہے، مگر اسلام نے ہمیشہ جنگ اور امن کے درمیان واضح فرق قائم رکھا. اسلام صرف ظلم اور جارحیت کے خلاف جنگ کی اجازت دیتا ہے اور قرآن کریم میں مسلمانوں کو حد سے تجاوز نہ کرنے اور صلح کی طرف مائل ہونے کی ہدایت دی گئی ہے. نبی کریم صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم نے بھی ہمیشہ مصالحت اور عفو و درگزر کو ترجیح دی، جیسے کہ صلح حدیبیہ اس کی روشن مثال ہے. ڈاکٹر العیسیٰ نے زور دیا کہ اسلام کی اصل روح سلامتی میں پوشیدہ ہے. اللہ تعالیٰ کا نام بھی السلام ہے. جنت کو دارالسلام کہا گیا ہے. مسلمانوں کا باہمی سلام السلام علیکم ہے، اور نماز کا اختتام بھی السلام سے ہوتا ہے. اسلام نہ صرف جنگوں کو ختم کرنے بلکہ ان کے اسباب کو روکنے کا علم بردار بھی ہے. نبی کریم صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم نے فرمایا کہ لوگوں کے درمیان صلح کرانا نماز، روزہ اور صدقے سے بھی افضل عمل ہے. انہوں نے کہا کہ اسلام ظلم، تعصب، نسلی یا قبائلی برتری کو مسترد کرتا ہے اور ان لوگوں کے ساتھ بھی انصاف اور حسن سلوک کی تعلیم دیتا ہے جو مسلمانوں کے خلاف نہیں لڑتے. قرآن میں لفظ بر استعمال کیا گیا ہے جو والدین کے ساتھ بہترین حسن سلوک کے لیے بھی آتا ہے، یعنی غیر مسلموں کے ساتھ بھی اعلیٰ اخلاقی رویہ اختیار کرنا چاہیے. ڈاکٹر العیسیٰ نے میثاق مدینہ اور عہد عمر کی مثالیں دیتے ہوئے کہا کہ یہ انسانی تاریخ کے اولین آئینی معاہدات ہیں جنہوں نے اقلیتوں کے حقوق، مذہبی آزادی، مساوات اور عدل و انصاف کی بنیاد رکھی. اسلام نے غیر مسلم شہریوں کے جان و مال، عبادت گاہوں اور مذہبی آزادی کی ضمانت دی. آخر میں انہوں نے پاکستان کو ان اصولوں کی پاسداری کی ایک نمایاں مثال قرار دیا اور سپریم کورٹ آف پاکستان کی تعریف کی جو انصاف، دیانت اور قانون کی بالادستی کی علامت ہے. انہوں نے کہا کہ سپریم کورٹ ہر شہری کے حقوق کی محافظ اور مظلوم کے لیے پناہ گاہ ہے جو پاکستان کے روشن چہرے اور عدل و مساوات کے عزم کی بہترین نمائندگی کرتی ہے. خطاب کے اختتام پر ڈاکٹر العیسیٰ نے سپریم کورٹ آف پاکستان، منتظمین، جج صاحبان، معزز شرکاء اور تمام متعلقہ اداروں کا شکریہ ادا کیا جنہوں نے اس اہم سمپوزیم کے انعقاد کے ذریعے مکالمے، رواداری اور بین المذاہب ہم آہنگی کے فروغ میں گراں کردار ادا کیا.
Thank you, His Excellency, for your illuminating and thoughtful address. Distinguished guests, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and a very good afternoon to all of you. My name is Misbah Shahid, and before I start, I would like to express my gratitude, and I would like to express that how thankful I am and how privileged I feel to get the opportunity to stand here and to interact with such highly influential audience. Thank you. So, as we have already heard the profound keynote address, this is the time to have a transition into a thematic session. About this thematic session, each discourse is focused and designed to explore some of the most pressing dimensions of our constitutional promise, a promise about which our Honorable Chief Justice of Pakistan has already talked about, a promise that directly speaks about equality, justice, freedom, and dignity for all citizens of Pakistan, irrespective of their faith or their background. Also, each discourse is going to provide us some of the unique perspectives that how our legal and moral framework can enhance the inclusivity of justice in Pakistan. With this, we begin with the first thematic discourse focused on matrimonial and family law disparities. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce the speaker for our first thematic discourse, who is a visionary public servant and our tireless human rights advocate, Ms. Rabia Javeri Aga, Chairperson of the National Commission for Pakistan. Chairperson for the National Commission for Human Rights. Ms. Rabia is a graduate of Mount Holyoke College, USA, and is a recipient of honorary doctorate for her amazing work on vulnerable communities. On being a member of Pakistan Administrative Service, she had important position across its functional spectrum, and she also contributed to the drafting of legislation for human rights, including Teen Child Marriage Restraint Act 2012. Currently, heading the National Commission for Human Rights, she secured A-level accreditation at the United Nations, and she also represents Asian Pacific region on the Global Alliance of National Human Rights Bodies in Geneva. We are truly honored to have her presence here with us today and share her valuable insights on a critical topic, as I have mentioned, matrimonial and family law disparities. I would like to request everyone to please join me in welcoming Ms. Rabia Javeri Aga.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Chief Justice, Justice Yahya Afridi, Excellency Muhammad Al-Isa, Secretary General of the Muslim World League, Honorable Justice Tasadduq Jilani Sahab, Honorable Minister for Law, Mr. Azam Tarar, Honorable Senator Farooq Naik, international partners, UNDP, UN Women, Sam Risk, Jamshed Qazi, my esteemed judges, ambassadors, distinguished colleagues, and guests. Let me begin with a story. This is the story of a woman called Tahira Sultana. Tahira Sultana is 94 years old. Her husband died in 1964, and for 60 years she has waited for her marital inheritance. Twice, the Supreme Court of Pakistan has ruled in her favor, and still she has not got what is rightfully hers. In a letter that she wrote to the National Commission for Human Rights, she said, "The last 6 decades of my life have revolved around waiting for justice. I have no stamina left, but I still hope that someone will help me end this story of woe." Tahira's story is not unique. It is not an exception. It is the daily reality of thousands of women across Pakistan and across the world that are denied their matrimonial and their inheritance rights. Now, this is not a failure of law. Laws are very clear. This is a failure of enforcement. It is a failure of justice systems that have allowed silence to stand where action is required. Pakistan's constitution promises equality to all citizens. It enshrines the protection of property, of dignity and security for everyone. And yet, our data tells another story. According to the Demographic Survey of Pakistan, 80% of women in Pakistan are denied inheritance. 3% own a house. 14% have a bank account. These numbers are not statistics. They are a measure of the constitutional deficit that women face on a daily basis. Because when we talk about ownership, ownership is not about wealth. It's about security. It's about dignity. It's about power. And without it, women remain vulnerable. They remain unable to walk away from abuse, unable to plan their lives, and unable to claim their self-respect. For minority women, the disparities are even sharper. They face a double jeopardy, both as women and as members of religious minorities. A recent study found out that only 1 in 4 women believed that they would ever get a fair trial. Now, this number says everything about the level of exclusion that many feel in the system. Pakistan is one of the few countries in the world to have a personal law for Hindus, for Christians, for Sikhs. But often these laws are ignored in practice. A study found that half of the lawyers representing minority women in court did not know the law, or they did not cite the relevant law in the court. As Pakistan's National Commission for Human Rights, which is a statutory body and a UNA status accredited organization, we explored matrimonial rights through the examination of nikah namas throughout the country. And what we found was deeply disturbing. In more than 90% of cases, the clauses that safeguard women's rights, particularly the right to maintenance and the right to divorce, are either left blank or they're just casually struck out. In effect, the very document meant to protect women's rights becomes the first place where those rights are erased. They are cut out even before the ink has dried. In response, the National Commission for Human Rights established a marriage rights helpline called 1413, offering free legal advice to women in need. And in only 1 year, we have received 1,800 calls for assistance. In Swat, we filed cases for 110 women who had been denied their inheritance. Across our complaints centers, we have resolved 8,500 human rights cases and 6,500 human rights cases and 813 sumo motu actions, half of which involved women seeking justice against violence, against discrimination, and against the deprivation of their rights. Recently, in collaboration with the Supreme Court of Pakistan, NCHR organized a hackathon, bringing together students from law and tech universities to develop innovative applications and AI solutions for more accessible justice. Now, all these interventions bring relief, but they cannot close the gap between law and justice. Helplines and casework can only go so far. Structural disparities require systemic reform. What is needed is clarity in how the judiciary applies family laws, courage in how judgments are enforced, and sensitivity and training for judges and for lawyers so that women who seek justice can do so without stigma, without delay, and without re-victimization. And yet, even as we confront these big gaps, we must also recognize that progress has begun. And now is the time to build on that progress. Pakistan's human rights landscape is undergoing a quiet but a powerful transformation across both technology and institutions. Technology has introduced new safeguards, biometric verification, digital family records, that are helping ensure that rights and entitlements reach those who need them the most. Our courts have delivered landmark judgments, affirming maintenance as a binding duty, a reminder that justice must not only be promised, but delivered. The Legal Aid and Justice Authority is now operational, providing representation to the vulnerable, while new initiatives, such as a Commission on Minority Rights and a National Action Plan on Human Rights, are advancing protection for citizens. Under the leadership of the Honorable Federal Minister for Law, Mr. Azam Taran, Parliament has enacted key reforms, from the Child Marriage Restraint Act in Islamabad to the Torture and Custodial Death Prevention and Punishment Act, bringing Pakistan closer to its constitutional promise of equality. These achievements are proof that change is possible when institutions work together. This hall, the Supreme Court of Pakistan, stands as a symbol of justice and of constitutional order. To gather here is to acknowledge our collective duty to move the fundamental rights of women and minorities from paper to practice, from promise to reality. When courts speak with clarity and act with courage, their words echo far beyond the courtroom. They do more than just settle disputes. They reshape society. What was once tolerated becomes intolerable. What was once ignored can no longer be dismissed. This is the power of decisive justice. It does more than deliver verdicts. It reaffirms the Constitution. It transforms culture. It breathes life into the promise of fundamental rights. Decisive justice redraws the boundaries of what a nation accepts and what it refuses to accept. Tahira Bano Sultana still believes in this justice system. That faith should be her burden, not be her burden, it should be our duty. I would like to thank the Honorable Chief Justice for convening this important gathering. It is a powerful opportunity to reaffirm that faith and to set the tone of accountability and to signal the role of the judiciary, not only as an arbitrator, but as a partner in the realization of women's rights in Pakistan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for your insightful and thought-provoking address. Your reflections have highlighted the challenges and possibilities in our family law framework, reminding us all of the constitutional promise of equality and dignity for all. Thank you very much, ma'am. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Shiza Khan. Continuing with our thematic session, the next theme under discussion is access to justice, a constitutional imperative. For this important theme, the speaker is a name synonymous to legal excellence, professional integrity, and dedicated public service. Mr. Azam Nazir Tarar, Nishane-Imtiaz, is a lawyer by profession, a sitting senator, and a distinguished member of the federal cabinet as Minister for Law and Justice. After completing LLM from the University of Edinburgh, Mr. Azam Nazir Tarar established himself as a leading advocate of both the High Courts and the Supreme Court. In both constitutional and criminal jurisdictions, he has also been an active participant in bar politics and has served as the chairman of Legal Education Committee of the Pakistan Bar Council, where he has overseen structural reforms in legal education, including introduction of the 5-year comprehensive LLB program. His consistent efforts reflect his deep belief in balancing law, justice, and equity, the very essence of our constitutional philosophy. It is my pleasure to invite Mr. Azam Nazir Tarar to kindly come forward and share his address with all of us.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Excellency, Dr. Muhammad bin Abdul Karim Al Isa, Secretary General Muslim World League, Honorable Chief Justice of Pakistan, Honorable Judges of Supreme Court of Pakistan, the Chief Justices of the High Court, Chief Justice, Supreme Court of Azad Jammu and Kashmir, Chief Justice of the Gilgit-Baltistan, the judges from the different high courts of Pakistan, our development partners, members of the judiciary, representatives of the bar bodies, rights activists, students, trainees, ladies and gentlemen, and of course the honorable and distinguished speakers. Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. It's indeed a great honor to speak at National Symposium on Interfaith Harmony and Fundamental Rights, a constitutional imperative. I would like to thank the Federal Judicial Academy and the Law and Justice Commission for organizing the event under the auspices of Supreme Court of Pakistan, convening to discuss dignity, equality, and access to justice reflects the seriousness with which our nation must treat these matters. Let me begin with a simple assertion. Respect for minorities and protection of their rights is not an optional endeavor. It is at the heart of our Constitution and of any just society indeed. Our Constitution guarantees freedom of conscience and religion. These are not just abstract lines on the papers. They are the standards by which our dignity as a nation will be judged, both at home and abroad. The legal foundations are clear. Article 20 guarantees freedom to profess religion and to manage religious institutions. Article 22 protects minorities in education and their right to administer educational institutions. Article 25 guarantees equality before the law. 27 prohibits religious discrimination in public employment. The principles of policy, including Article 36, obligate the state to protect the legitimate rights of minorities. These provisions form not only a constitutional guarantee, but a governance responsibility to ensure that access to justice is equal, timely, and real for every citizen. We have, over the years, developed important legislative and institutional measures. The Pakistan Penal Code and Criminal Procedure Code contain provisions to address forced marriages and related offenses. Provincial laws such as Khyber Pakhtunkhwa Protection of Communal Properties of Minorities Act, the Punjab and Sindh Security of Vulnerable Establishments Acts, the Balochistan Protections for Communal Property demonstrate that provinces are taking legal steps to secure the rights and places of worship of all communities living in Pakistan. Yet challenges persist. Despite strong constitutional guarantees and a growing body of laws, members of religious minorities in Pakistan continue to face discrimination, social exclusion, and vulnerability. Incidents of forced conversions and attacks on places of worship remind us that our work remains unfinished. Behind each case lies a life affected, a family in distress, and a community seeking reassurance in justice and protection. We must ensure procedural safeguards, fair investigations, and accountability for false accusations, while reforming personal status laws and registration systems to prevent misuse. Ensuring access to justice means making justice attainable and impartial through legal aid, fast-track mechanisms, judicial trainings on interfaith sensitivity, and right-based adjudication. Likewise, education reform must promote diversity, tolerance, and civic responsibility from an early age. Political inclusion must also be strengthened through transparent representation and enforcement of employment and education quotas. The role of society and institutions is equally vital. Media, religious scholars, and civil society must serve as partners in promoting responsible narratives and interfaith dialogue. Survivors of violence must have access to legal, psychological, and social support, alongside strengthened helplines and rehabilitation services. By upholding human rights and inclusivity at home, Pakistan enhances its international credibility and reaffirms its commitment to global human rights standards. The government has already taken constructive steps. The Interfaith Harmony Policy and Strategy for Religious Tolerance, approved by Federal Cabinet earlier this year, provide a clear policy direction. The National Action Plan 2021 and Prime Minister's Steering and Review Committee ensure coordinated action across ministries. The National Commission for Human Rights, with its broad mandate and powers, together with the proposed National Commission for Minorities' Rights, marks an important institutional stride towards stronger oversight, accountability, and redress. The recent formation of Minority Caucus in Senate is another welcoming step, reflecting Parliament's growing commitment to inclusivity and the protection of all communities. Through its Human Rights Awareness Program, the Ministry of Human Rights has conducted hundreds of sessions nationwide, engaging scholars, officials, and communities to foster understanding and inclusion. However, awareness alone is not enough. The ministry, in collaboration with judiciary, parliament, provincial governments, and civil society, is now pursuing practical and coordinated measures. These include the standardization of police procedures, mandatory training for officials on religious sensitivity, and the establishment of minority protection cells for rapid response and legal aid. Procedural safeguards are being introduced in blasphemy-related investigations to prevent misuse and ensure timely justice. To the Honorable Chief Justice and the members of esteemed judiciary, we are all present here. I extend a particular request. Your leadership in reinforcing the rule of law, upholding constitutional protections, and guiding jurisprudence on rights will be vital. Judicial reflections and directions emerging from this symposium can provide jurisprudential clarity that will protect vulnerable communities and strengthen democratic governance. To religious leaders, your voice shapes hearts and minds. I ask you and request you to join state institutions in promoting narratives of compassion, common humanity, and tolerance. To media and educators, use your platforms to amplify pluralism, to present positive stories of cohesion. To business and civil society, invest in community projects that create shared economic opportunities across the divides. Finally, as we conclude this symposium, let our discussion translate into practical and accountable outcomes. I welcome the adoption of a national declaration on interfaith harmony and access to justice. Let it serve as a catalyst for measurable reforms, clear timelines, and collaborative oversight. We owe it to our Constitution, to our citizens, and to future of Pakistan to ensure that no person is marginalized for his faith, ethnicity, or belief, and that justice remains accessible to all, not as a privilege, but as of a right. In closing, let me reaffirm the federal government's commitment. We will act, we will cooperate with all stakeholders, and we will measure progress. May our collective work help build a Pakistan in which all citizens can live with equal dignity, security, and opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your enlightening remarks and for reaffirming that true justice means accessibility, equality, and fairness for all. Ladies and gentlemen, inclusive jurisprudence and interfaith engagement are two cardinal concerns for the rule of law and the religious pluralism, principles that ensure social harmony and national unity. To speak on this vital subject, we are privileged to have with us a statesman, a jurist, and a legislator whose contribution to Pakistan's legal and political landscape are truly remarkable, Senator Farooq Hamid Naik, recipient of the Nishan-e-Imtiaz and senior advocate of the Supreme Court of Pakistan. Mr. Farooq, before his election to the Senate of Pakistan for the term 2003 to 2009, served as Deputy Attorney General from 1994 to 1996. He was then later elected as Chairman Senate in 2009, which office he held for 3 years, and has since been re-elected multiple times, continuing to serve with distinction to this day. As Minister for Law and Justice during 2008 to 2009 and 2012 to 2013, he oversaw the drafting of various landmark legislations. His extensive legal career also includes representations in both domestic and international courts. His invaluable contributions to the legislative reforms and constitutional developments have strengthened Pakistan's democratic and judicial institutions. It is now my distinct honor to invite Senator Farooq Hamid Naik to the podium to share his reflections with us.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. His Excellency Dr. Muhammad Ali Isa, Secretary General, Muslim World League, Honorable Chief Justice of Pakistan, Mr. Yahya Afridi, Mr. Justice Tasadduq Hussain Jilani, former Chief Justice of Pakistan, Mr. Azam Nazir Tarar, Federal Minister for Law and Justice, Madam Rabia Javeri Agha, Chairperson, National Commission for Human Rights, Honorable Judges of the Supreme Court, Chief Justices and Judges of the High Court, Chief Justice of Azad Jammu and Kashmir, and Chief Justice and Judge of Gilgit-Baltistan. Members of the Bar, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. I am requested by my Lord the Chief Justice to speak on the subject, the rule of law and religious pluralism. First of all, the question arises to the mind, what is interfaith harmony and what is religious pluralism? This gathering today is not merely a ceremonial exchange, rather a working forum to align our jurisprudence and public institutions with universal principles of dignity, equality, and justice that animate our Constitution and core teachings of our faith. Interfaith harmony, ladies and gentlemen, is a peaceful coexistence of different religious beliefs, rooted in shared values like love, justice, and compassion, fostered through respect, dialogue, and education. It is essential for global peace by overcoming religious bigotry and promoting understanding, and can be achieved through interfaith dialogue, respect for religious leaders and holy books, and media portrayal of accurate information. Ultimately, interfaith harmony aims to build a more just and peaceful society where all communities can thrive. Religious pluralism is the belief that multiple religions and their diverse worldwide views are equally valid, accepting coexistence of various religious paths to ultimate truth or life hereafter. It goes beyond mere tolerance to embrace different traditions as legitimate, fostering harmonious interaction rather than imposing one religion as exclusively true. This concept supports interfaith dialogue and understanding, recognizing that people can follow different religions and still achieve spiritual fulfillment. In a global climate of polarization and exclusion, we are called to translate shared values into enforceable rights and fair process, so that apart from being just treated as a slogan, coexistence is a living reality for every community in Pakistan. This was true vision of a Qaid, great Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Religious pluralism in Islam refers to recognition of multiple faiths and coexistence of different religions based on Quranic principles of tolerance and divine faith. Some interpretations argue for equal validity of all religions. However, traditional Islamic theology holds that Islam is the final and true path, though with respect to previous revelations. Three principles of religious pluralism in Islam includes absence of coercion in religion, recognition of Judaism and Christianity as people of the book, and an emphasis on interfaith cooperation. Quran suggests that religious diversity is part of Allah's plan, and each community was given his own laws, and diversity was not created as an error. Life and teachings of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, provides examples of pluralistic approaches and peaceful coexistence with other religious communities. Constitution of Pakistan trickles down from these very divine principles. Pakistan has a diverse religious population, including Hindus, Christians, Sikhs, Bahis, and others. Religious tolerance in Pakistan is complex, characterized by constitutionally guaranteed protection of religious minorities, along with practical challenges like discrimination and violence. Ladies and gentlemen, our constitutional order provides and promises freedom of belief and worship, equality before law, and protection for minorities. These guarantees flow naturally from our religious traditions' emphasis on human dignity and justice. Pakistan Constitution guarantees religious freedom and equal citizenship for minorities, but in actual practice of religious pluralism is hindered by lack of effective enforcement, leading to challenges in upholding rule of law for all citizens. Well, government has started institutions to promote interfaith harmony, but these often lack sufficient authority and societal attitudes which contributes to marginalization of minority groups. Articles of the Constitution like 25, 22, and 36 guarantee equality of all citizens, regardless of race, religion, caste, or creed, as well as religious freedom and protection of minority rights, allowing them to practice the faith and establish institutions. But, however, practical implementation of constitutional guarantees has been inconsistent, with official actions often falling short of ensuring safety and rights of religious minorities. While certain bodies have been created to support religious minorities, they often lack statutory powers and legal jurisdiction, limiting effectiveness in protection of minority rights nationwide. Social attitudes and certain religious clerics who oppose pluralism and political dynamics creates a different environment for religious minority to exercise their right freely. Task before us is practical and demanding to ensure that courts, prosecutors, police, and bar act as a neutral guardians of rights, that worship places, personal law, and community life are shielded from coercion and hate, and that remedies are swift, predictable, and impartial when violations occur. This symposium, ladies and gentlemen, invite us to anchor pluralism, not only in aspiration, but in disciplined craft of adjudication and administration. This can ensure the rule of law becomes common home, where every Pakistani, regardless of their faith, stand equal. While Pakistan's constitution promises are clear, its practice is tested on three fronts. 1, digital incitement and hate speech. Online spaces amplify provocation faster than our casework can keep pace. Parliament passed amendments to Prevention of Electronic Crimes Act in January 2025, sharpening definitions and enforcement architecture for social platforms. These are tools we must apply with due process and proportionality. Most importantly, addressing loopholes along the way that can be used to frame others for political point scoring, personal vendetta, and abuse of power is very important to look after. Number 2, institutional follow through on minority protections. Supreme Court's landmark 214 judgment on minority rights created a roadmap which includes council formation, protection plans, and curriculum reform. Unfortunately, implementation has been uneven and requires renewed urgency from prosecutors, police, and line departments. Access to justice gaps. From FIR registration to evidence handling in offenses against worship places and communities, consistency remains the challenge. Judicial training and court-annexed processes can narrow this gap, as our academics are already positioned to help if we scale curricula and refresher nationally accordingly. It would be a boost to religious pluralism, as education is always the most potent solution to almost any problem. Ladies and gentlemen, there is real progress to build upon. Our Constitution provides freedom of religion, equality before law, and protection of minorities. Successive benches and bar leaders have kept these principles in view. Institutionally, Pakistan has developed an architecture that includes Ministry of Religious Affairs and Interfaith Harmony, and a National Commission for Minorities, alongside ongoing legislative efforts to place that commission on firm statutory footing with clearer powers and reporting lines is very essential. We have also seen symbolic gestures translate into access on the ground. Kartarpur corridor, for instance, has allowed devotees to fulfill a deeply personal religious obligation in safety and dignity. Apart from that, there are many other interventions by government in light of Constitution that provide full rights and facilities to religious minorities to practice and celebrate their faith. Equally important is our judicial training. Through Federal Judicial Academy and Provincial Academies, we have recourses that can be readily adapted to the realities of our time: hate crime identification, digital evidence handling, courtroom management in sensitive cases, and survivor-centered procedures. While pieces of a systematic response exist, what is required now is consistency. This involves connecting constitutional guarantees to day-to-day investigation, prosecution, adjudication, and respectful public discourse so that interfaith harmony can become measurable and routine. What are the challenges we have to address? Ladies and gentlemen, to my mind, following measures are needed to meet challenges faced in Pakistan with respect to rule of law and religious pluralism. One, there is a need for concrete governmental action to safeguard rights of religious minority and to ensure rule of law is applied equally. Two, active involvement of all local religious leaders is crucial for mediating conflicts and promoting dialogue to prevail social tension from escalating. Three, public awareness campaign to counter hate speech and misinformation, fostering religious tolerance and understanding among public. Four, unless public is educated, unless public is conscious, unless public is aware of constitutional values and importance of rule of law, we cannot have a functional religious pluralism in Pakistan. Next, compulsory refreshers at the Federal Judicial Academy and Provincial Academies on equality before law, digital hate evidence, and sentencing in offences against worship places. Insurance of time-bound SOPs for police and prosecutors, from FIR to charge approval and digital preservation, so every district knows what swift and impartial actually means. Tighten bar ethics with continuing professional development on freedom of religion or belief and legislative housekeeping, including an annual minority rights progress report to the Parliament of Pakistan. And finally, stand up district interfaith councils linked to ADR centers with clear referral routes to special prosecutors. Ladies and gentlemen, honestly speaking, none of this needs any reinvention. It only requires alignment between constitutional promise, judicial guidance, and everyday institutional habits. Unfortunately, mob lynching is the elephant in the room that our judicial system must accept its shortcoming with. We must address this issue of grave concern in a manner where individuals and families are fully protected and miscreants are punished with full force of law to set examples and deterrents for such heinous crimes. Dear colleagues, as we leave this hall, let us measure success, not by speeches, by what a citizen of any faith experiences at a police station, in a courtroom, and at a place of worship and online. Rule of law must be felt as safety without fear, process without prejudice, and justice without delay. People should truly feel safe around law enforcement agencies rather than fearing injustice at the hands of someone with power. That demands discipline from all of us, restraint to let facts, not frenzy, decides outcomes, courage to stop, first spark of vigilantism, and humility to correct our own institution when they fall short. If we can ensure that a victim is heard, an accused is tried fairly, and a mob is never a substitute for the state, then pluralism will not need defending. It will be self-evident. Our oath is to the Constitution and to the dignity of every person who stands law. Let us return to our benches, chambers, stations, classrooms, and newsrooms with one shared pledge that next time a case of incitement, mob violence, or religious discrimination arises, it will be met not with hesitation, but with swift, even-handed action and a transparent record that public can trust. May Allah guide us to justice with wisdom, protect all our communities, and make Pakistan a place where difference is never a danger and equality is never in doubt. Thank you. Pakistan, Pindabad.
Thank you, sir, for your enlightening remarks and for actually capturing the heart of today's National Symposium. Ladies and gentlemen, as now we move towards the concluding session of this National Symposium, I would like to graciously mention that the speaker we have for this concluding session is a person of prominence, a devout humanitarian, and an eminent jurist. I mean the former Chief Justice of Pakistan from December 2013 to July 2014, Honorable Mr. Justice Tasadduq Hussain Jalani. Mr. Jalani has handed down landmark judgments protecting fundamental rights, civil liberties, and safeguarding the rights and interests of weak, vulnerable, and marginalized communities, which has actually earned him huge respect, not only in his legal circle, but also in the society at large. Ladies and gentlemen, we are truly honored to have him here with us today, and I would like to request everyone to please join me in extending a very warm welcome to Honorable Mr. Justice Tasadduq Hussain Jalani.
I'm fine. I'm fine. Thank you.
Honorable Chief Justice of Pakistan, Mr. Yahya Afridi, Honorable Law Minister, Mr. Azam Tarar, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I must congratulate the Chief Justice and the Law Commission to have organized a seminar on this important topic, which I believe is the message of our faith, is the mandate of our Constitution, and it was a call of the founder of the nation, Qaid Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Our beloved homeland was envisioned as a sanctuary for all its citizens. In his historic address to the Constituent Assembly on 11th August 1947, Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah declared, and I quote, "You are free to go to your temples, you are free to go to your mosques, or to any other place of worship in this state of Pakistan. You may belong to any religion or caste or creed. That has nothing to do with the business of the state," unquote. These words were not mere formality. They were a promise that Pakistan would be a place where no one would be judged or limited because of his faith. 77 years on, that promise remains our guiding light. We know from our experience that interfaith harmony is not a luxury, but a necessity. Intolerance corrodes societies, understanding strengthens them. From Karachi to Khyber, countless examples show Muslims and Christians running schools together, Hindus and Sikhs volunteering in hospitals, neighbors of all faiths protecting each other's places of worship during times of tension. These are not isolated stories, They are the living fabric of our nation. Islam has a proud tradition of tolerance. We see it in the history of Andalusia and Córdoba during Inquisition. According to the former President Barack Obama, he saw it firsthand as a child in Indonesia, where devout Christians worshipped freely in an overwhelmingly Muslim country. That is the spirit we need today. People in every country should be free to choose and live their faith based upon the persuasion of mind and heart and the soul. This tolerance is essential for religion to thrive, but it is being challenged in every different ways today. We must remember that harmony does not grow by chance. It must be nurtured by deliberate action in our policies, in our schools, in our places of worship, and in our everyday choices. Our curricula should teach empathy and pluralism. Our media should highlight cooperation, not just conflict. Our religious and community leaders must model compassion and respect. And we as citizens must embody these values in our daily lives. This seminar today has shown us clear pathways. Those are that there should be more dialogues where people of different faiths meet and listen to one another. That the constitutional matter of equal rights should be enforced regardless of religion. Shared service, joining hands across faith lines to educate and uplift communities. The rule let's remember that our land has a rich tradition of tolerance. The teachings of Sufi saints, the hospitality of our villages, the generosity of our cities. These are roots that run deep. We have only to water them. Ladies and gentlemen, as we conclude, I invite you to a picture of Pakistan where a Hindu girl in Tharparkar feels as safe in her classroom as a Muslim boy in Lahore. A church bell in Karachi and the call to prayer in Peshawar both ring freely without fear. Diversity is not just tolerated, but celebrated as our greatest strength. This vision is not a dream. It is already alive in countless initiatives across our country. What it needs is our collective will. We all should remember that there is one law that we can be most certain of. It is the law that binds peoples of all faiths and no faith together. It is no coincidence that it exists in Christianity, Judaism, in Islam, in Hinduism, Buddhism, and humanism. It is, of course, the golden rule that call to treat one another as we wish to be treated. The call to love, the call to serve, to do what we can to make a difference in the lives of those with whom we share the same brief moment on this earth. So let's go forth from this hall with a renewed resolve to build bridges, not walls, to replace suspicion with trust, to make every Pakistani, whatever their religion, feel at home in their homeland. Interfaith harmony is not only a moral obligation, it is a national imperative and a sacred trust. A Pakistan that respects and protects all faiths stands taller in the world and stronger within. As Quaid-e-Azam's timeless words remind us, religion is a personal matter, and the business of the state and that of society is justice, equality, and service to all. Let's be living proof of that principle. And thank you for providing me this opportunity to share my thoughts and concern. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your insightful views. With this last discourse, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of this symposium, but as a tailpiece, I have to present a declaration for adoption by this august House. I'll read out the declaration, and here it goes. We, the participants of the National Symposium on Interfaith Harmony and Fundamental Rights, a constitutional imperative, convened under the auspices of the Supreme Court of Pakistan, recognizing that the Constitution of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan enshrines equality, liberty, and justice as inviolable guarantees for all citizens, irrespective of religion, belief, or gender, affirming that the moral teachings of all faiths converge upon the shared principles of human dignity, compassion, and coexistence, acknowledging the vital role of the judiciary in safeguarding fundamental rights and nurturing a culture of tolerance and respect, hereby declare our collective resolve to uphold the constitutional promise of equality, justice, and freedom for all citizens of Pakistan, to promote interfaith harmony, social inclusion, and mutual respect as foundations of national unity, to strengthen institutional efforts for the protection of minorities and the realization of fundamental rights, to integrate interfaith sensitivity and human rights education within the justice sector, and to reaffirm Pakistan's enduring commitment to a just, tolerant, and compassionate society inspired by the true spirit of Islam and constitutionalism. The declaration will be adopted by show of hands. Thank you very much for adopting the declaration. Ladies and gentlemen, refreshments are waiting to be served. You are cordially invited to join us. Ushers will lead you to the place, and thank you for joining us.